Here's what Group B of the Champions League looks like heading into the last match day next week. Real Madrid in third place and anything but a win at home against Gladbach next week will see them crash out of the Champions League in the group stage for the first time ever. Of course, the papers in Spain, known for a good headline. Here's some of the best. Total crisis from bad to worse. Shaka still with us as we look ahead to the week that's coming up for Real Madrid, which includes a weekend trip to Sevilla. Gab Marcotti joins us as well. Gab, is this the make or break week for tenure 2 of Zinedine Zidane at Real Madrid?
I think there's a lot of people suggesting that. Obviously, it's a pretty horrendous situation the club are in, and you know we know how long it's been, i.e., never since they were knocked out at the group stage of the Champions League. But my hunch is I think it's going to take a little more than this. I think it's going to go right up to the Madrid derby, which is obviously a week from this weekend. So I think they're going to give Zidane that much. That's just my impression. I don't have inside information. But you look at Florentino's track record, you look at what Zidane means to the club, you look at the fact that sacking him and bringing somebody else in would be very expensive. And might not, and there's a global pandemic and it might not yield those results. And the fact that Zidane is a very manageable guy to have in charge. He doesn't cause a fuss. He doesn't speak in public. He doesn't embarrass the club. But unfortunately, as we've seen, he's not getting great results right now. So I think I just see, even if things go badly, I just can't see the club sacking him straight away. Unless, of course, the other scenario is that Zidane decides I've had enough. He decides I can't get my message across to these players and they're not performing for me and I don't need this and I'm going to walk away. And of course, he's walked away before.
Quick look then at the La Liga table. Real Madrid in fourth. As you mentioned, Gab, a couple of huge games. So forget the Champions League. You can't forget it when you talk about Real Madrid, but coming up for them in La Liga. Sevilla this weekend, Atletico Madrid next up in the schedule. You mentioned Zidane, the possibility of him walking away, Gab. He continues to kind of cut a frustrated picture in these press conferences. Do you get the sense that if there is going to be change, it's going to be him pulling the trigger?
I mean, I think that's the most. Look, if it happens before the Atletico Madrid game, I think the likeliest scenario is Zidane walking away because he's had enough. He feels frustrated. He genuinely cares about the club. But I also think, to some degree, he wants to give it a go. I think the dressing room. It's a lot of veterans, a lot of guys who've been through the wars with Real Madrid, including one guy, Sergio Ramos, who's not going to be there for the trip to Seville, but will 99% be there for the game against Gladbach. He obviously wields a lot of power in that dressing room as well. So for that reason, I can't imagine the dressing room turning their back on him just yet. So, they want to see what happens. They're going to have some big absences, of course. No Ramos, as we said. No Dani Carvajal as well at right back. And I think, if there's one thing, and obviously no Eden Hazard, but, that's not really news yet, and news anymore.
Shaka, what's wrong with this Madrid? Because, you look at it on paper, we know all the big names, but they're just not playing to that level. And we focus a lot on Zidane, but maybe we should be talking more about the 11 on the field.
You're right. I think there are a number of players who simply aren't playing well, and Zidane could point to individual errors as to having cost them. This week, we're talking about Varane. Gab mentioned Eden Hazard and how in and out of the team that he has been. So as frustrating a time as it has been, I think there are genuine reasons for that Zidane can address. I think he can make changes for the upcoming game against Mönchengladbach in the Champions League at the very least. At home to them, I still have the sneaky suspicion that they get the job done, and all of a sudden, maybe that papers over the cracks, but it gets them to, especially if they get decent results against Sevilla and Atletico, it at least gets them into the new year in decent shape. And then you have the back end of the season to really try to figure things out. So I don't see anything happening right now, not before the end of the season. But, just as I can see them putting together decent results and getting there, it can all come crashing down thanks to some of these kind of poor individual performances that we've seen.
Go on, Gab.
No, I was going to say, a lot of the focus, a lot of speculation is going to be that, is on the lack of goals and the fact that they need a genuine center forward to back up Karim Benzema, since Jovic has been a disappointment, and Mariano as well. But I think if you take a closer look at it, I agree with Shaka. I think it's been individual errors, and I think mostly it's been poor defending. And since Craig's not around, I feel empowered to mention expected goals. If you compare them to last season when they won the title, they're right around the same amount that they were in terms of expected goals creating. They didn't create a ton of chances, but they finished them last year. But defensively, they're a lot worse. They're about 50% worse in terms of expected goals conceded. And part of that is obviously, this team needs Casemiro, and they need the best Casemiro out there in midfield. I think a lot of it is also down to Varane and Dani Carvajal's absence.
Craig loves expected goals. I'm not sure what that's about. Right then, here's the weekend's La Liga schedule. Atletico Madrid hosting Valladolid. Barcelona, meanwhile, at Cádiz.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.